I had requested JFK to actually present a small overview of what they are doing for the animal community in Pakistan. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, so hi everyone, this is Zufishan. So I had been rescuing animals since a very long time, even before I got married, and I had been fostering them all in my house. It was dogs, cats, even donkeys. It was then until, people started having issues with me in, around the neighborhood and everything, and they started reporting our house, and there was no space. Even guests were reluctant to come inside because they were just animals all over the house, and I was newly married. So I realized and I decided that now I need a place for them. This is the time. And that basically really gave me a motivation when my pet dog Kiki was shot dead. So basically JFK stands for Justice for Kiki, and it realized that in Pakistan I cannot file cases or get justice for my girl. So I started a whole rescue center in her memory. And now JFK is a very big land, and it's fostering, it's a home to many disabled animals. I'd been rescuing disabled dogs, cats, blind cats, and donkeys that are literally dumped near the dumpsters. People use them, and when they can no longer pick weights, they just throw them away. So I'd been picking them up, getting them treated, and I'd been keeping them. We try to get the dogs adopted, but the strays have a very low chance of getting into the forever homes and getting adopted. So I wanted to create a system where I don't always have to worry for adoptions. Okay, they're not adopted, good enough, I'll keep them. I do try for the healthy ones to find homes, but if they don't find homes, they can stay with me. We care for their food, medical, their rehabilitation. Even I have a French trainer. She has moved to Pakistan from France and done PhD in dog therapy. And she makes sure she visits thrice a week. We're focusing on their emotional health because, most of the dogs that have come from an abused past, they are not very suitable for homes with kids or elderly people. So I wanted to focus on their mental health also along with the physical health. And she has been working with them, playing with them, doing therapies. They even know tricks like our pets don't. My pets don't know as many tricks as my rescue does. So they're very cute dogs. They are all trained and all healthy, big fat dogs. They look like guard dogs. So basically, recently I have been doing a campaign against pet markets, because there are not a lot of NGOs and rescuers who are against pet trade, because they have, some of them have absorbed it, and they say that it's not possible to put an end to it. Whereas JFK is standing firm on the stance that we want an end to the pet trade, because it is linked with a lot of horrors what goes to the animals. And recently I have been doing a campaign on Tollington Market, Lahore, which is like, the worst pet selling area in the world. I believe they're torturing animals, they're abusing animals. They throw them into dumpsters when they're sick because they don't want to spend on their medical. They starve them, they deny the basic rights of each and every animal kept there for selling purposes. They're illiterate people who don't know the treatment, even the handling of a cat or dog. So my stance is that why is why do they have the authority to play with innocent lives? Poverty does not justify being cruel. And I'm going to my campaign was done, a protest was done, we were called by the government to that they would help us. But then some people went to the government and they stopped them from helping us, because they said there's no abuse in Tollington, so it should not be given any focus. Now we're planning a re-campaign, and we're going to start everything again, re-expose them, because we have been going to that market and cleaning and feeding those hundreds of animals ourselves. because they don't care. And we thought, okay, they don't care, we will start doing it because the food and water cannot wait. Those animals are lying in their poop, their filth, and it's really unhygienic. And this cross contamination, even if somebody's buying an animal from there and taking home, it's not safe for them and their pets. So it's a whole lot of things related to that market. So JFK stands against pet trade, pet markets. We are working on vaccinating the stray animals, providing them a safe sanctuary. We are working towards TNVR. We have neutered a lot of animals that we rescued from Tollington Market, and this is what we want to continue. And this is it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zershan, for sharing JFK's stories. Like, I've been following you for quite some time, but I didn't know that what JFK stood for, and it's a very adorable. And thank you. I've been to your protests, and I think you're doing a wonderful job in terms whatever you're trying to contribute towards animal cruelty. If everyone doesn't mind, should we also ask Yashi to join in the conversation, and everyone can like join in whatever they want, because I think that would be um, fun. So my question to everyone is that what are the different challenges like for Pakistan? Of course, we don't have laws for animal rights. That is our basic issue. We don't. Is it the same with other countries like India as well, or do you guys have like some laws, some basic laws?
Hi everyone. I hope everyone's safe. And I really love JFK's story. It's really inspiring. So in India, we do have number of laws in place. Let me just introduce myself. I am Yashprada. I am a lawyer, and I'm a criminal lawyer basically. So like veganism is pretty new concept if we talk westernized in a westernized concept, because India is majorly a country where dominant people are practicing vegetarian diet, but veganism is a pretty new concept. Uh, Sometimes we often hear things like butter, which is ghee, is oftenly used in our cuisines. I think not just India, like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, we all have the same ingredients in our food which we use on daily basis, but since they are derivative of milk, cow's milk or things like that, so that thing is difficult to be eliminated so easily from our diets. Having said that, and while we're talking about animal cruelty, uh, there's a lot of good work is being done in India, but again, the pace is really slow. We do have certain rules how to when it comes to catching dogs or strays, right? But handling animals like pigs, that is like still not there. We do not see that there are guidelines which tells us, okay, this is a certain way you're supposed to rescue an animal or catch an animal or rehabilitate certain animals. So even though we have laws, even though we have enough number of acts in place, legislature supports it, but enforcement is again a problem. Number of issues like population density, uh, and different set of beliefs, different set of authorities, and certain things like that. And then you have to keep going around people, convincing them that these things are issues. These are not merely something coming out of law books or just out of consciousness, but it has some moral worth. Like they are animals, like you just told about JFKs. So there are certain good organizations who are working, and a huge problem for them. I don't know what, like if this same thing is experienced in Pakistan. Funding is a huge problem for them. They do not have enough funding. People do not come forward to like contribute or to aid them. And even oftentimes government, they say that they're going to help, but then government is not paying enough attention. So yeah, it's a little bit confused state, or I'll say there is awareness, but there is still at some places we can definitely say lack of justice towards the animals. But work is going on, and people are certainly they are trying to make some change. So I'm hopeful that in coming years we will definitely be able to set a good example for the coming generation. We'll be able to save animals, and like the concept and the entire theme of our conference is to go species, like non-species. Like we do not talk about just one species. We talk about conservation. We talk about saving the animals from cruelty. So yeah,
Yes, Angel,
thank you.
you're saying
Okay.
something.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing your insights, Yashi. I just want to add one point on funding. I am not aware of how that works in your country, but because, as far as I understand, because of the population of human population and population of non-human animals in India, I I think that a lot of people who, well, basically people who are more affluent in other parts of the world, they have they've been looking at trying to elevate like voices and basically invest in and help organizations and people in countries like India, probably Brazil, Mexico, and China. So maybe it would be good to, I don't know how to go about this, but maybe groups in India can also consider international funding, because there are people in the effective altruism community. They recognize how big, like the scale of the problem in certain countries in Asia, and they do want to contribute to the cause here. So I think it might be worth looking into that.
It's actually true. I mean, there are a number of international organizations who have branches here in different part of the country, and they have associated themselves with, there are certain MOUs that they sign with small research groups or think tanks, if I may say. There are things like that, but again, so let me just give a small example. So I hail from central India, okay, the central part of India. We all know the names of big cities in all the countries. Like, there is Mumbai, there is Delhi, there is Bangalore, Calcutta. So these big cities, these are the metro cities. You know the names, right? You know enough of them. But like my own hometown, like where I come from, it's a relatively small city. It doesn't have that huge dominance on the global map for international organizations or international to attract that kind of audience. uh, yes, but like I said, slowly, baby steps, step by step, we can hope that, if we try to reach a bigger audience one day, certainly, uh, like you pointed it out, like that can be reached. And people do come here. People definitely do have an eye on this place, because in India, like the forest cover, the natural green is the most dense in this area. So, it already is having a certain kind of attention, the global attention, that, yeah, so natural reserves are here. Biodiversity is really rich, can be found in a rich manner in this part of this country. So, yeah, there is attention, but the need is to for execution and action. You see, the very small organizations are working, and you know I think this step by step they are trying their best. And uh, yeah, I mean, in Asia, I think I don't know exactly how can I pinpoint somebody if I'm not very sure of, I can at least like give my point as a lawyer, as what I've seen. But saying for something which I personally do not have a first hand experience of, that would be little unfair toward them.
Okay.
So how are things going in Pakistan? How does the funding system, Elia, if you can tell us a little bit about it, how does it go over there?
Well, it's been usually crowdfunding. It's crowdfunding, not online. Pakistanis are not very friendly with online systems. We mostly give charity. So if I have a friend's a friend, someone influential that I know, I would contact them, and then they would issue some funding. But since I don't take funds for my shelter, I'm self-funded. So is my friend's shelter, Bezuban. So it's usually friends and friends of friends and community work that comes together, because there's a lot of trust issues when it comes to funding. People want to be sure where their money is going. There's this misconception with NGOs, and it's not wrong, because there have been a lot of corruption issues in Pakistan. So people don't trust NGOs and NGO owners. They think that they're going to take money, and they're not going to utilize it on people. Or the other issue could be that they think that why not help a human being first and help an animal. So that's the best argument they always give us. Zulfishan has a bigger organization, so if you could tell us how funding works at your end, and then Angel and Mimi, I would like you guys to also tell us about how funding is done at your end. Thank you.
So I totally agree with Yashi about the funding part, and even some of my bills are still pending. And the thing is that you can't stop working, and this is how we rescuers are. And I believe God makes ways for His own creation somehow. Maybe it gets late, but it works. The issue is that if a lot of people have done corruption, they're good people also that are working. There's small rescuers who are very genuine towards their work, but they don't have enough finances or resources. I believe if you're very transparent, and I make sure that I post the bills, I post everything about it, and I make sure I mention the doctors. So if someone wants to clear the bills, they can directly approach the doctor. Yes, is it your bill? So doctor can be asked, yes, it's my bill. I make sure I post whatever I get, whatever is given to wherever, but still, it is a problem. Not everyone is okay. And then, Ali, I totally agree with her that people rather choose helping, humans over animals. In Pakistan, it's a very new concept, which is animal rescuing. And the people you want help from are already helping humans, and they believe that there are a lot of humans that still need help. So they choose humans over animals, but there are good people also. And this is the reason JFK is running, and they do support, they do help. I have monthly donors as well. And I have people from all over the world that have even created my GoFundMe account themselves. And I would suggest, Alia, you also promote this, that they should do the crowdfunding and request somebody out of Pakistan to make them for you. And you guys can even promote that, those links, that the people that you trust, the people that you think are valid, you guys should promote those links in your international community. And because we don't have enough resources for our own people here, so crowdfunding internationally is a good option when you're running a shelter or a rescue system, rather than requesting people over and over again, because it is slow here. So this is my point. And as for the legal stuff, I want to add something. I want to tell Yashi that we don't have enough animal laws here. There is one law which is literally 100 years old. Then there was this other law which was formed 1 year ago in 2019 in PTI's government. But when I met the government, I realized, and every wildlife minister questioned, that law was never implemented. That was Animal Health Act. Because during the Tollington Market campaign, my lawyer tried to bring that law into this entire situation and use it on the Tollington Market. and then it was ordered, but somebody stepped in and it got stopped. So there's a lot of political issues when and when they get involved in these animal rescuing, it really pisses me off, because your entire work, you feel so weak that somebody powerful would just come and ruin your things that you have worked day and night for. So basically, I'm even working towards the animal sexual abuse in our country, because it is also at rise, but people are not ready to talk about it. So when I raised the kitten case, the alleged kitten rape case, it was a big hell for me. I went through all sorts of harassment. I went through a lot of things, even though I just reported about it. And recently, there was a Noori rape case in India about a dog. If I'm not wrong, her name was Noori. And
Yeah, I
the
was
way
about to say that. I was about to say that.
and Yashi, the way India handled it, I'm proud of you guys. Hats off to you, because there
And
was no
let's,
victim blaming, there was no
huh,
NGO shaming. The case was dealt embarkably well, and I really wanted to
true.
appreciate you guys for that, because it does not happen here. It's a joke. It becomes a joke, and the victim starts getting blamed. People are not even ready to accept the human stuff here. So it's a taboo talking about animal
I
sexual
know,
abuse. So
I
I
know.
believe we're not ready for it now, but we try our best. And I have a entire legal team who is now working towards it. I have a set of lawyers working towards it, because the animal abuse, sexual abuse is at rise, I believe, all over the world, not only Pakistan, but here people don't want to talk about it. So,
Right.
we are far behind from this right now. And everyone told me Pakistan isn't ready for it. So you just hush, hush. But I have this thing in me that I don't get scared. And I don't know, it's the genes or what, that I always stand up and I'm not scared. I faced a lot of harassment. Even, somebody said that 9 years jail would be given to me
Oh my God, oh
if
my
I
God.
continue talking about the kitten case. So I just, I said, okay, I'll relax. So this is what I wanted to add up. Thank you.
And Zulfishan, amazing. Like, thank you so much for sharing that insight because I extremely, extremely, felt we have such a common thing, common issues. I think, as the colonial rule, and I think the old law that you mentioned, trust me, the same happened in India. That the laws that Britishers made, we were still going on those laws, and there is a dire need to bring changes to those old laws. And it can be only done by people like us, who are animal activists, who want to bring that change for animals and not just for human. And like Alien, you both of you mentioned that people do often say कि uh, जानवरों को देखें इंसानों को देखें, this is the most common thing happening, I think, both of our countries, that they're like I'm sorry, I just said it in the language probably Angel might not understand. So I said the same thing, like them, that should we look after the human or the animal? So I think this kind of behavior is not new to us, all of us. But hats off to you that you are like अ, तुम लगे हुए हो उस चीज़ के लिए, बहुत अच्छा अच्छा लगा सुन के। एंड वी शुड इंस्पायर ईच अदर। एंड in India में there was one another case before this, the recent rape case of the female dog. There was few years ago, again the similar kind of case had happened, and that did not catch this large media attention. But I am genuinely happy that this time it was taken much seriously. A behavior like this is barbaric. It's like simply barbaric, and it's not accepted in any civilian society. And hats off to you too for the kitten case that you're fighting for, and definitely do take care of your own safety as well. Because if you are at risk, just imagine who's gonna speak for these animals. So highly appreciate you. And I think Asta is here. Elia, you should even ask Asta to join us, and I'm sure she is going to have some wonderful insights as well.
Sure.
I just saw her name come there.
Yeah, Asta just joined. Asta, we're just talking about how similar Pakistan and India issues are, especially when it comes to animal rights and colonial laws that are still in place, and that leave little or no room for new laws to come in. So, if you want to share any story related or any insight into your um, experience with activism.
That's very true. I think we have old laws as well as a lot of customs that have been prevailing since quite a long time that have, in some way or the other, uh, accustomed people into a certain way, and people tend to think into a certain way. Uh, in my experience with veganism, a lot of time what happens with me in India is that whenever I try to put forth the idea to specifically to vegetarians to shift from vegetarianism to veganism, I'm always told that there are a lot of cultural barriers and there are certain things that we cannot give up at all. So this is one thing that I always come across in India.
Very similar here as well, because there are very few vegetarians and even fewer vegans. And there's this common thing that always takes place about companion animals and non-companion animals. You know, at some point, I feel that we have a very long way to go when it comes to speciesism, because you can't be somewhat cruel and somewhat not cruel. You need to one needs to actually understand that it's a whole system, and you need to break down the system, and you need to hit it at the base. So if you support one thing, it's going to affect the whole pyramid. So it's especially a very difficult thing with veganism in Pakistan, considering that we have to make sacrifice every year. And that becomes very difficult for a lot of us because there's a religion barrier. I think one thing that India is, I don't know whether it should be called an advantage or not, is because that the idea of the cow being sacred actually puts some level of a barrier in place when it comes to larger animals. But I'm sure it's difficult for working for chicken or working for any other smaller animals that have been commodified to an extent that they're now objects rather than living beings. So yeah, this was so Zarfshan, what's your take on? I think we can even move to the stereotypes. Do we have any stereotypical issues when it comes to our movement? What are the things that we've constantly heard? Um, like why are you working for animals? You'll never get married, for example. When you work with, yeah, you will live with animals. Who's going to marry you? Things like that.
Luckily, I was already married. Okay. So, I want to add something when it comes to veganism. We have to, keep in mind that the resources and alternatives have to be as accessible as, the other things are. In our societies, specifically talking about the Asian places like Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, you in UK, America, they have even made restaurants for, vegan stuff. They have entire bakeries for vegan stuff. Here, if somebody starts, it's going to be difficult. I'm sure there are some, but there are very,
Very
elite
few.
class
Very few.
elite
Yeah.
class that can spend 1,000 on just loaf of bread. How do you expect a poor person to who is earning 200 a day to switch to veganism when it's the most expensive diet in Pakistan, because all of those stuff is mostly imported. We have a shop that does provide Isa it does provide some stuff that is vegan, but it's very pricey. So we have to, as rescuers and everything, I think we should work on this also, that we should you know promote stuff that is accessible, the alternatives. We should talk to people who want to launch businesses, or these restaurants, that you should launch a different menu, maybe the cheaper one, also the one that does not include animals, so people can easily switch to veganism. So accessibility has to play a major role. You can't ask somebody to starve. So this is an issue, I believe, that we have here. We don't have enough sources, and the I already mentioned, it's the money that a very rich person can go vegan here. I believe a normal mediocre can't. His pocket is going to be empty in a week.
Yeah,
He's not even going to survive for a month. So it is.
Yashi wants to add something, please.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. Uh, yeah. So I was saying, Zulfishan is saying exact things that me and Astha, both of us will agree to, and I think it's the problem both of our countries are facing, that the options which we have for vegans or veganism are so expensive that it cannot be, easily afforded by a common man, or a family which is having members, let's say like 5 or 6 in numbers, and the earning capacity is not as good as, like she even cited the perfect example that there are people of financial capacity to eat a bread which costs like 100 rupees. So 100 rupees could be like, I don't know, in dollars probably, I don't know, like the conversion, I'm like, it will be different for every
$1,
country. Yeah.
yeah, $1 for us.
Yeah. Just imagine the quantum of difference that there is. So it's insane. It's really insane. Uh, and she was actually not like, the thing is that whatever we are discussing, it's literally so similar. It's so similar in its ground reality, that we are facing almost all the same problems. Although, yes, how Ilya, you mentioned about the fact that cow is somehow secured because of the current scenario, and the fact that cow being a sacred animal for the Hindu population. Yes, so that is saving cow, but again, that is not saving, just that doesn't save all the animals. But fortunately, there are some laws now that, like I mentioned, that now are supporting animals. At least we have Animal Cruelty Act, which prevents animals from being tortured or harmed, or in every, now I think, Astha, probably you should correct me if I am mistaken, because Astha is as well an aspiring lawyer. She is a law student, so I'm certain Astha will correct me if I'm saying wrong anywhere. That am I right, Astha, that we have laws now for animals in every act as well? Like even the government officials, they will be like charged if they are committing cruelty towards animals, right, Astha?
There are provisions in certain laws, and there are some
Right.
overarching laws that cover this
Huh.
point. More importantly, the Constitution of India itself promotes ensuring that we secure the environment and the biodiversity, and that we promote uh, peace and non-cruelty towards animal as well. Uh, but the problem that lies between the laws in place and between the practice is lack of awareness. So, like Zufishan mentioned about uh, the problem with not having a lot of vegan options available with us, um, there is also a problem of lack of awareness when it comes to implementing veganism, because a lot of people tend to think that the only options that you can get is when you go out to a particular restaurant or to a place to to adopt veganism. A lot of people are not very sure of opting veganism because they think that they cannot sustain themselves because of their upbringing or their lifestyle that they have had since birth. For example, I was watching a video by Ryuji, Peace by Vegan, and he mentions certain economic vegan options that are available, for example, beans or rice, which are available everywhere. But people are not aware of the fact that you can actually take up certain vegan options that are economical, and they tend to
Yeah, I can't see her as well.
Yeah, so I totally agree with what she said, that there are like I personally don't come from a very well off situation. So I work and I pay my bills, so I hardly have I'm not like, I don't even fit into the middle class. I would say I'm somewhere like in the lower middle class bracket. So when I look at our desi foods that were there before the consumption of meat, for example, our chickpeas, our curries, our our sabzis and dals and all these foods, all you have to do is just eliminate the meat option out of it, and somehow I just fix it towards becoming vegan. Like if I'm going to have chakandar gosht, I will rather have chakandar chane. So it just appropriately managing the diet. I don't If I can't afford milk, I'm not having milk. I'm not buying almond milk, for example, because I can't afford it. So I'll use a tea whitener for my tea. So you start, once you make a decision, once anyone makes a decision, you start looking for solutions. And I do agree, if you look at the Western concept of veganism, it is very expensive. I cannot afford vegan cheese, not even like twice a year. So I would rather, make sure that if coconut milk is locally available, I will get the cheapest coconut milk and then make something out of it and add it to my macaronis just to taste like something nice. So I still believe that one can, and I've been trying to test this model on myself, of course, so that if someone ever needs to switch to another diet, I might be able to help them budget that, because we can do it if we want to. The human body needs very little than we expect, or what we have in mind, especially. But our local foods, I would always say, if you go to our local palette and our local foods, we will find a lot of vegan food and even vegetarian food. So one can actually start there. That's where what I think. So
Beautifully put, Area. Beautifully put. Because I think the veganism or the concept of eliminating non-veg is much westernized. In our own Asian cultures, we have a beautiful diversity. We have so many different cultures practicing, even if not veganism in particular, they're practicing the elimination of meat from their diet. And that is commendable, right? That is beautifully done, and that is we have diverse cuisines. And I think Astha just wrote that in the chat that going economically like compatible with your own pocket, and the fact that the like you said chickpeas are there, wonderful source of protein. I do not know what do you call it, water chestnut, I think, singhara. Is it like same? I don't know, right? Yeah. So it is a wonderful source of calcium. Then we have a lotus stick, right? The lotus stem, right? So that's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorite. We make sabzi of it, right? So yeah, and I think even in China, it is very fondly consumed. The lotus stem. I think Angel, you would be able to tell us, like in Hong Kong, Taiwan, China, these places. I think even we all have the same certain same things that we eat for source of protein, calcium, minerals, and all that. So yeah, I think our diets are the best example and the answers for us.
I wanted to add something. Sorry if I'm cutting anybody. I went to
Yeah, yeah,
India
no,
in
no, no.
2012, and the thing I loved about India was that even there was veggie burgers in McDonald's.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like,
We
oh
have.
my God. And there was so much vegan stuff, even the street food. And it's similar here in Pakistan also, but not a vegan McDonald's. There was a veggie burger. And I
uh,
was like,
I
where am
think we
I?
are spoiled
And
for
I really
choice
liked it.
when it comes to Indian McDonald's because the menu that we have is specially made for India, and you don't find
exactly.
these options
It
anywhere else.
elsewhere.
So I
That
had
was a
to
wonderful
probably
marketing
try that
strategy.
outside
I
India.
really liked it. I loved it. And there were some other restaurants also. And it's, it's related to religion that it's vegan, but it's good.
Definitely.
It's helping the animals. And one thing I want to add, as a Pakistani, a rescuer, or, whatever, the animal activist, that here, I do get a little, scared when I'm talking about the slaughter stuff, because they put,
Uh,
fatwas and things on you that I refrain from getting into, because it has happened to me before. Even, I posted a video of hens suffering in a butcher house, and a butcher shop, and people started, inboxing me that you are not Muslim, we know this and that. And then when I posted about a cow that was mishandled on, Eid, so that was hell to me. Somebody even said that, you deserve to die, you're
oh,
talking against Islam. How am I talking against Islam? It's in Islam to treat the slaughter animal with respect, with care. you know don't treat the animal that you're going to eat like this is simple as that. Cow was fractured, that cow was bleeding from her mouth, because they use those cranes. They take them as baby cows to their roofs, and then during the slaughter day they bring them down via cranes. So often those cranes, they can't handle the cow weight, and they just drop them, and they suffer a lot of injuries, and then they slaughter them in the same condition that they're in. And it's not the same everywhere here, but it does. Incidents like these happens on Eid a lot. And when I try to be vocal about them, I got a lot of backlash. And I don't talk about veganism more often on my page, even though I believe and respect it and I agree with it. I want to work towards it, but I think our country isn't ready enough to be very vocal about it. And when you talk about cows and
So,
goats, it's like a religious
yeah.
issue.
Zofishan, I'm sorry to cut you in. So I think we're ready for our next session, which I'll be handing it over to Asta, which is the Indian Networking Hour. And thank you guys. Thank you so much, Mimi, Yashi, Zufishan, Asta, Anjni. ACF joined really late, and thank you everyone for a wonderful conversation. And I would love to connect with the Indian activists again, and definitely work something fun out